Welcome to another episode of Fixing Bugs and Stuff. And today we're showing two case halves that have been cleaned, they have been checked out, measured, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be showing building this engine. This engine will be raffled off at the September 22nd show, the V-Dubs by the Bay, which is in Perryville, Maryland. Hopefully I'll get to see you guys there. But I do want to show the build as we go along. So far, the bearings have been set up. What I mean by that is you kind of have to prep the bearings. Is that when you put the bearings in here and you want to check them, they should be able to fit snugly like that. And also you need to line up the oil holes that are here, right there. And sometimes they don't, so you may have to notch into the bearing itself, as you can see right here. That's where I did it. So also I scribed the bearing, meaning that I add a line here. You can see it. So what I'll do is I'll put this in like this, and with the crankshaft on, you'll be spinning this to line up with the dowel holes. And a lot of times it's a pain in the neck to figure out where the dowel holes are, and you want to make sure that everything's seated properly. So that's why I add the scribe lines. So you can see the scribe lines that are here. And if I put it in there right, it'll be better. See the scribe lines here? As you can see, it's kind of sitting up a little bit. But if I pressed in, it sits in further. And that's how I know I am in perfectly. So I did it on both sides. Okay, and there's also another trick that I can show you to make sure all the bearings are in properly. So let's get a hold of the crankshaft and let's get started. Okay, I have the crankshaft in here. I put all the bearings in onto the crankshaft. As you can see, a better idea. They all matched up pretty good. Everything's in there. I'm able to spin this freely. No issues here. I did put oil on the bearings, so make sure it's all good to go. Let's see. Move it back and forth. That feels fine. What else we got going here? Oh, the one thing I wanted to show you to check to make sure that these are all lining up correctly is this. You take the bearing that goes into the other half of the case and you put it on here. And you should not be able to rock it back and forth, but I mean like this way. And that's how you know that the whole crank is seated with all its bearings. So we're good to go on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the other case half here, put on top of here, and kind of cinch it together. And then we're going to be spinning the crankshaft just to make sure that when it's all torqued down that it is good to go. All right, let's do that next. Okay, I put the two crank halves together. See if I can get you guys a good angle. I torqued all these down to 25 foot-pounds. There is a sequence that you have to torque these down to. I just added this without the key. It's kind of similar to a press fit, but it's not horrible. And once everything's put together, what you want to do is you want to make sure that the crankshaft can turn over properly. And you can see here, if I can get it to turn, you can see the crankshaft turn there, and you should be able to turn this wheel with just one finger, and you see the crankshaft move basically like that. So that way you know your bearings are good. You're not tightening up anywhere. There's no binding. You should be able to run freely. So we'll add the rods and stuff and the gears, all this stuff to the crankshaft, but we want to make sure at this point that we have all this down. I hate to put on the rods, the crank gear, the timing gear is what I mean, and all these other things that go on the crankshaft, and then to find out that this doesn't turn very well. So I hate to do that. All right, so we put together the crankshaft with the rods at the bearings. The bearings that we're using for everything is Mile bearings. They're not a sponsor, but seem to be good bearings. Unfortunately, there is a bearing company that's going out of business, and now bearings are going to be probably 2 or 3 times the cost. It stinks. All the bearings are in for the camshaft here. And what I like to normally do is once I set up the camshaft, and you have to align the holes or the dimples that are on the camshaft and this gear here. I'll show you that in a second. But you can just throw this in without aligning anything. What you want to do is make sure that these gears or these teeth on these gears match or made up with these teeth on this gear here. So what you do is you rotate the engine several times to make sure that this camshaft does not jump out of the case or out of its bearings. So we're going to do that right now. You just grab the rods here and you just kind of rotate it. It doesn't matter which direction you rotate it in. You just want to make sure that it just runs really smoothly and nothing jumps out, especially the camshaft. And sometimes you don't even see it. Sometimes the camshaft will jump out of here. It'll start to rock up and down. You just have to look at that. You can see it. Add a little bit more oil there. Another thing you should be checking at this point is, let me move this over. It's the oil pump itself. Sometimes the screws, if you have screws here, this has rivets on this guy. I'm trying to get this way. This has rivets, doesn't have screws, but some of the camshafts, that especially the high performance, have screws on them. You want to make sure the oil pump doesn't hit them, and usually it hits like in this area here. It'll hit here. So what you do is you'll slide this on and check the clearance in here between that piece, this piece here, and that piece, and whatever is here, the rivets or screws or bolts, whatever you have. And I can see, that's kind of hard for you guys to see, but you got plenty of clearance. Nothing's hitting. But to be sure, we can rotate it, see if it pops off, or see if it chatters, actually. And it doesn't even move, so we're good on that. So at this point, we're getting ready to put the other case half on. I just have to add some sealant. There's already cam lube on the lifters, so we're good on that. I will double check everything. You do have the O-rings that are on here. They're required. Keep it sealed. Don't forget those. That's happened to me before. I put the whole engine together and then realized, hey, I forgot those. Other than that, everything else is good. And we will double check the center bearing here. Make sure it doesn't rock back and forth. That looks good. And I think we're close. We're very close to button this up, getting a complete short block. Oh, one more thing. Before we add the sealant, I will take the other case half, put it on top of here, and rotate everything. I will torque it down to spec, make sure there's nothing binding. Complete sanity check, basically. Make sure that we are good to go. So that's what I'll do next. Okay, I put the other case half together here, torqued everything down to spec, 24 foot-pounds. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that this thing spins nicely. And it does all the way around. There's no binding. There's no nothing. And technically, you should be able to spin it with one finger. So just like that. Now, it may be a little difficult to turn if you're using everything. What I mean is if you're using, we call it dragon's blood. And that's not what it's this lube here. This stuff is really thick and sticky. It's ultra slick. It says ultra slick, but it's really thick. And sometimes it may feel like something's binding, but it's not. It's just really good stuff. Okay. So the next time you'll see this, I'm not going to bore you with me adding sealant. Just the same thing over and over again. Putting this case half in. And then we'll add the flywheel in the back, and we'll check end play. Some people do it differently. Some people check the end play while the cases are separated. Um, it all depends what you want to do. I mean, you're not gonna. Either way, it works. So that'll be the next thing. I will show that. We'll have the flywheel on, and we should be good to go. Okay, we sealed the two halves together with sealant. We add the other accessories, like has a brand new old drain pan here with all new hardware. The whole case has all brand new hardware. I can show you also there's brand new plate, oil plate in the front here as well. Brand new hardware. You just can't put any regular hardware in here either. Let me show you the type it takes. It takes one of these sealing nuts. As you can see, it has a rubber O-ring on it here, and it goes up against the plate here to keep oil from coming out. So you just can't print any type of nut on here. You just can't. If you're going to, try use sealant, and hopefully that will work for you. Let's see what else. Still, it turns beautifully. No problems at all. Once it's all tightened up, buttoned up, you should be able to turn it with your finger, like so. No issues. I'm gonna flip it over. And there you go. The short block is pretty much done. The flywheel is on there. The end play is set already. It runs pretty smooth. Move my hand actually, no problem. Like I said, brand new hardware all the way around. You can see these are lock nuts. It's not just the regular nuts. These won't back out like the old ones did. Let's see what else. There's a lot of new internal stuff to it. I probably mentioned already, it has brand new cam lifters. Um, let's see, bearings, of course. So there's not much else. So we're at this point now. We're at the short block, and the next thing to do will be to add the heads to here. I'm waiting for the heads to get done. Once the heads are done, we'll add them on there. But in the meantime, I am going to check deck height, make sure that's within spec. Kind of prep it before the heads get on there, and after that, you'll have your long block, which is great. Then from there, we'll do a kind of like a priming of the pump, of the oil pump. We'll do like a slight pressure test, see where we're at, and then that'll be it. So let me know what you guys think. This will be getting finished soon. Hopefully we'll get it done, maybe running this weekend. So let me know. Please leave a like or a comment below. Let me know what you think. All right, guys, have a good one.